Shalom. First off, I'd like to give an all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Yahweh, who the world didn't really calls God, in the name of Yahushai, who the world didn't really calls Jesus Christ. Secondly, I'd like to give a double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who rule well, who continue to teach us this truth, and a salutations to Joachim out there doing the work of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Sincerely, this is the brother Kakam, coming at you with another lesson. The lesson here is spiritual social conduct, number 3. And we're going to be looking at Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 18. And we're going to get right to it. It says, "He that liveth forever hath created all things in general." It's talking about the Most High. It says, "The Lord only is righteous, and there is none other but he, who governeth the world with the palm of his hand, and all things obey his will, for he is the King of all. By his power dividing holy things among them from profane. To whom hath he given power to declare his works? And who shall find out his noble acts? Who shall number the strength of his majesty? And who shall also tell out his mercies?" All right, so these couple verses are kind of just going over, Yahweh, who the world never really calls God, as a concept. All right, it's going over him as a concept. The concept of the Lord, the concept of Yahweh, of the Father, is that he's the creator. All right, he is in control of all things. All right, and his power is immeasurable. And that's something that we always need to kind of keep in mind as men in this truth. All right, we need to understand that the Lord is boundless. All right, so sometimes the Lord can put you in a certain situation where you might feel like there's no way out, or you might feel like it's a difficult situation. You might be like, oh, damn, this is a hard thing that I'm going through, whatever the case may be, whether it may involve your kids, whether it may involve, women, whatever the case may be, your parents, getting old, whatever the case might be, you got to remember that this is the Lord's show. And a lot of things that we go through, the easiest way to go through them is literally to go through them, but not alone. All right? With the help of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right, so you might be asking, what does this have to do with spiritual social conduct? Well, it's social because this idea of waiting for the Lord and allowing the Lord to do his thing and understanding that the Lord is all powerful, all knowing, all right? These are things that we need to keep in mind, because sometimes for example, you might be dealing with a situation with a brother where you might not want to offend the brother, or you might not want to overstep, or you might not want to, you've already interacted with this brother a couple times, and, it hasn't been going good. Sometimes, what you got to do, you just got to let the Lord handle that. Stay humble, and obviously keep things amicable with the brother, but at the end of the day, you might have to just let the Lord handle it. Another situation where this might be spiritual social conduct is understanding that sometimes we're not going to be able, not sometimes, in general, we're not going to be able to do anything against the people who have wronged us, all right, whether it be the so-called white man, whether it be our family members. We just need to wait until the Lord, man, because of the Lord's all-powerful nature. Because of how powerful and how majestic he is, any punishment that we have for a person that has wronged us, whether it be a family member or a co-worker or the so-called white man in general, as an idea, all right, nothing that we as men can do to the so-called white man with our hands it cannot compare to what the Lord can do to the so-called white man, to those people who have wronged us. All right. It says, "As for the wondrous works of the Lord, there may be nothing taken from them, neither may anything be put unto them, neither can the ground of them be found. When a man hath done, he beginneth, and when he leaveth off, then he shall be doubtful. What is a man, and whereto serveth he? What is his good, and what is his evil? Exactly. So now it's coming into what? Essentially, it's comparing the majesty of the Lord versus what? Versus what a man, versus a man. All right. So it says, what a man hath done, then he beginneth. It says, what he leaveth off, then he shall be doubtful. In other words, what a man does, it's always finicky. Anything that has to do with men, anything that has to do with carnality is always going to be finicky. It's not going to be sure. It's not going to be grounded. All right, because as people, we are just flawed. All right, as people, we're flawed. So there is no man that should be able to put fear in you. There is no man that you should be giving your 100% trust into. Because ultimately, that man, whether it be a pastor, a teacher, a mentor, whatever the case may be, that man can be leading you astray. Because he's a man just like you. That man cannot save you. He says, what is a man, and whereto serveth he? What is his good, and what is his evil? The number of a man's days at the most are 100 years. Exactly. A man can only live at most 100 years. It says, as a drop of water unto the sea, and a gravestone in comparison of the sand, there are 1,000 years to the days of eternity. Exactly. So that's why it is better to trust in what? Trust in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai than it is to trust in men. Because a man is always going to let you down. A man is always going to be limited in his abilities. All right? He says, therefore is Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai patient with them and poureth forth his mercy upon them. He saw and perceived their end to be evil, therefore he multiplied his compassion. The mercy of man is toward his neighbor, but the mercy of the Lord is upon all flesh. Exactly. So a man, considering maybe this man has power or whatever the case is, his mercy is going to be to what? His neighbor, someone who he knows, someone that he cohabitates with. He might be merciful unto them, but maybe not unto anyone else. But the Lord, he's merciful unto all flesh. All right? He's merciful unto all flesh, whether it be used for his end or not. All right? Because the Lord is, most importantly, the Lord is merciful unto his nation. He's merciful to his people, to Israel, the elect of the nation of Israel, and then ultimately the nation of Israel as a whole, first and foremost. But the Lord in the scriptures has shown mercy to heathens before. All right? So the Lord can show mercy unto all flesh. All right? It says, he says, but the mercy of the Lord is upon all flesh. He reproveth and nurtureth and teacheth and again bringeth again as a shepherd to his flock. All right? So I'm going to clip it here. Stay tuned for part 2. And until next time, shalom.